Hello.
Hello! Well, that was a kerfuffle.
I know it was a massive kerfuffle.
Well, the people on my Facebook are going to be a little bit maybe confused as to what we're going to be talking about. So it might be worth you maybe giving them a little bit of a background as to what we're doing, because they're not going to have a clue what we're talking about.
Good, good idea. Good idea. So, for those of you that don't know me, or if you do know me, so I run a group called the Motivational Metamorphosis Group. And yesterday we were on day 19 of a confidence challenge that we've been doing. We've been setting little mini challenges every day for the last 19 days. And yesterday's challenge was about removing your mask. And I'd chosen that to coincide with me
Quite a good one.
coming with you to Oh My God Sheffield when you were as Fanny Burns. So yesterday we're in Oh My God Sheffield. I went to see you
Yes,
as Fanny.
yes. Very
And
much, I
one of
think,
the most,
the most masks you can wear, isn't it?
yeah, exactly. Well, one of the things that I love about you is that you often do a live feed and we see you on a Thursday transform from you into the glamorous Fanny Burns, which is
Yeah,
very, very different.
yeah, 100%.
Yeah, we spoke about it in the car on the way home about how good it would be to do a little live feed and a little interview about you and your mask
Yeah.
and things like that. I have written down a few questions and it's all a bit ad hoc for you, but I'm planned.
You've planned. I'm going to sit on the
Yeah.
sofa and get ready.
First question I want to ask you, and this this is quite a simple question, but I just want to ask you: when it's time to recharge your batteries, do you prefer to be alone or with people?
Um, Again, we've spoken about this before as friends, because we've known each other many years, and
Yeah,
I am definitely somebody that likes to be out of the limelight when it comes to my time. There's a definite divide between me and Fanny,
yeah,
and I need that kind of that time when I'm not a performer to
yeah.
basically be me. Um, so yeah, definitely, I do
Mm.
appreciate a bit of alone time, mainly when it's
Yeah.
recharged.
And you see, that's very interesting because from my coaching world, that question determines to me that you're an introvert. And
Yeah,
people who know you out and about and in your past role and now as Fanny would probably naturally put you in the box as an extrovert.
yeah. I think a lot of performers are quite introvert to a degree. When it comes to you can't be a performer all the time, and we've said this before. And even now, I'm
Yes.
talking to you as Lewis, not as Fanny. And this is a side that we have quite a lot, but a lot of people won't see of me because they're used to seeing the whole kind of, I it just,
Yeah.
do you know what I mean? So yeah, you're almost a split personality as a performer.
So
Mm.
and it is really interesting though because loads of people would think that you were in your face, totally extrovert and over the top, and I know you as Lewis,
Quite quiet. Yeah.
which
Well, I'm
is
not quiet.
you are an
I,
introvert.
I can hold a normal conversation if without an innuendo. That's I think the difference as me.
Yeah.
Not everything has
Well,
to be an innuendo.
sometimes
Sometimes.
on the odd occasion,
Uh,
yeah. So how do you think the main differences are between the character that you've created as Fanny Burns to who you are as Lewis Brown?
I think Fanny is just the over the top version of myself. Unless you're going to build an entire character from scratch that is totally not you, there is always going to be influences of me in Fanny, which is such an
Yeah.
odd sentence to say. I said, you put me in a room full of people as a man, and
Mm,
I won't talk to anybody
yeah.
because I don't have confidence to do that as a man.
Yeah.
As much as if I was dressed in as Fanny, you put me in a room full of people and I will talk to everyone and I will touch the bums and flirt with them and be hello, hello, hello. And it's not that as a man I lack confidence, it's just that's not who I am as a man. Um,
Yeah.
but as that character, do So, yeah, going back to your question, I think there is parts of me in Fanny, but she is definitely an over-the-top version of who I am, I suppose.
Yeah. And when you're starting to put on the mask, you're starting to put the makeup on, and then the dress goes on, then the wig goes on. Do you
Mhm.
feel yourself transforming into Fanny? Do you actually feel something inside, or is it just when you see yourself in the mirror, you think, right, I'm ready to go now. This is me as Fanny.
I think as I start to put my face on, the makeup is irrelevant. I think for me, it's when I put the wig on.
Okay.
The wig's the last thing to go on. And if people are watching
Yeah.
my live on Thursday, I put everything on, including the shoes. Everything goes on. The wig is the last thing to go on.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that is when I look in the mirror and go, right, there she is. That's her.
Mm.
Because until that point, I'm just Lewis with a face of makeup on.
Yeah.
And when I put the wig on, that's kind of like, oh, that's totally different.
Yeah. And does it make a difference when you're getting ready, when you're doing a live feed? Are you any different to when you're getting ready and you're not on a live feed and you're on your own and whatever?
Oh yeah. Well, I get ready in silence normally when I'm on my own, unless I'm talking to myself. Um,
Yeah.
I get ready a lot quicker when I'm not doing a live feed. When I'm
Mm.
doing the live feed, I do get distracted by comments and looking and trying to answer. Um,
Yeah.
but I suppose watching some of my live feed back, I do think that I am a mixture of me and Fanny on the live feeds, as in
Yeah.
I do talk as me, but there is parts that if you know me well enough, you'll know, well, that's Lewis speaking. And that's the performer side.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can see there's two parts to the live feed. I see it.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
Mm.
It's definitely as your voice, as you get in the makeup on, whenever I've watched you, I hear your voice and the things that you say start to change. The more
Yeah.
makeup you've got on, as soon as you got that's it. You know the way you move yourself, the way you move your shoulders and everything. It's a
Mm.
complete transformation. So that mask really makes a huge difference to how your body and whole persona and confidence comes across. Hugely,
Yeah. You do hold
hugely.
yourself differently. It's
Yeah,
you're becoming that character, and you're becoming what people want you to be and what they want to see. Um,
yeah,
and I suppose that's what people do in society as well. Like you get ready in the morning for work, and you're kind of rearing yourself up and putting that face on, and no matter what's happened in your life, you're kind of going, right, I'm going to go and face the world today, and this is the face I'm going to
yeah,
wear. Um,
yeah.
it's just a watered down version of what I do. Mine's just a well over the top version, but there is a lot of similarities to what I do and what a lot of people do on a daily basis.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's one of the things I mentioned yesterday. There's a lot of people, uh, both men and women these days, who have to put their makeup on before they'll go out and see anyone, even family.
Yeah.
Because that's quite alien to me because I am very much a bare-faced person. The mask for me isn't about a mask of makeup. It used to be about a mask of a smile.
Mm, yeah.
So with that in mind, are there any other masks that you wear?
I'm not really bothered about my looks, as in I kind of look how I look. That's it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Um, I've always had a receding hairline. I started losing my hair when I was a younger. Something they might worry about going out into public if they're losing their hair. A lot of people are
mm,
very precious about things like their hair. Um,
yeah,
I've learned not to be. Do you know what I mean? And things like that. But I was quite self-conscious as a teenager and growing up. But I've kind of got to that age now where I'm like, well, this is me. Do you know what I mean? I'm going to be what I want to be and how I want to be. And I'm not the skinniest and I'm not the fittest. But do you know what I mean? This is who I am, and people either like me or don't like me for that.
so what were you like when you were younger, and how much has that changed with how much more comfortable you've become with yourself?
Um, when I was younger, I was so at school, and I was very much the for want of a better phrase, I was the geeky boff. And a
Mm,
boff back in my days was basically the SWAT, the kind of one that was always like doing his homework on time and uh, you know what I mean, getting good grades, etc., etc. So I did go through a bit of bullying at school.
Yeah.
The kind of getting chased home after school and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? And I wasn't openly gay at school. I didn't even realise I was gay really
Mm.
until I hit college. And then I met
Mm.
guys and etc. And it was when I came to college that I started to come out of myself a little bit more, and I did a performing arts course, which
Yeah.
obviously all helps because you're in a room of like-minded people, and you're basically told to be yourself and be proud of who you are, and etc. etc. And it really does help, and it really does.
Yeah.
And I think Haven, when I worked for Haven for 8 years, that's when I really started to kind of take to the stage and have a lot of confidence in what I was doing, and the feedback from people that were saying, "Oh yeah, it was great, we really enjoyed it," blah blah blah, and that confidence always builds you up, and
Yeah.
you want to do more because that feeling
Mm.
of giving people pleasure on stage kind of makes you go, "Oh, well, I want that feeling again," um,
Yeah.
and that's where a lot of my passion for performing comes from. And it's basically the joy it gives other people, whether it does or doesn't, because you can't please everybody. But the people that you do please and the feedback it gives you, it does boost you up, and it does make you want to carry on doing what you do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose I've gone from a bullied teenager to a very confident 21-year-old right now. Uh,
Age is just a number, you know
I know.
that.
I lied. I'm 28. But yeah, but it goes to show that you can turn your life around and do what you want to do. You don't have to be, just because you're bullied as a teenager, doesn't mean you have to be bullied for the rest of your life.
Absolutely.
I don't put the mask on because of that. I put the mask on because it pays me a lot of bloody money.
Well, yeah, because a lot of people that don't know you won't realise that you actually started singing in clubs and pubs and stuff when you were a teenager. You know, what age did you
Yep.
start singing at?
I got my first performing gig. Well, I started singing when I was at school in the choirs and stuff, but my first paid gig was when I was 15. I started doing clubs and
Right.
pubs at the age of 15. And I did that every Friday and Saturday. My dad used to drive me to my gigs, and I did that every Friday and Saturday up until I was 19.
Yeah, yeah. And so, how
4 years.
does thinking about how you may have had a mask back then with all of the insecurities that you might have had back then, only just sort of finding out about yourself and that kind of thing,
Mm.
and to how you are now, where you know who you are and you go out and you earn lots of money for doing drag. And what was your mask like back then? What was your mask? Because obviously it's not makeup, you didn't do drag back then, but what was your mask?
Um, it's a very long time ago, but I remember well, I had a different name to start with. So like my name is Fanny Burns for drag. My kind of alter ego name back then was Matt Lewis.
Okay.
So it's kind of already a lot of people have stage names, and that is to kind of I suppose that is one of the masks. You're under a different name.
Yeah.
So straight away you've got the ability to create a new person, and that person can be
Yeah.
whoever you want them to be. Um, that name, Matt, associates me with that time of my life.
Yeah.
And Matt could be whoever he wanted to be, just as Fanny now can be whoever she wants to be.
Yeah.
I suppose that was one of the only real ways of defining who I was as a performer back then. I mean, obviously you wore different clothes, etc. And I mean, the venues are totally different.
Yeah.
It was a very hard slog for 4 years, because if you've ever been to a working men's club, they're very
Yeah.
Ethel and Joan are sat in the same seats, have sat in for the last 25 years.
Yeah.
And the guy comes in with the raffle tickets for the meat raffle halfway through your set. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, sometimes it was
Fish
like,
man comes in.
yeah, selling crab sticks for 50p. And sometimes you weren't like even listened to for like
Yeah.
your first two spots. And you just kind of, I think that's sometimes where my self sarcasm comes from, because you learn to entertain yourself, and you kind of just like turn into yourself and make little jokes that you find funny, and if they don't find it funny, well, they're not really listening anyway. Um,
yeah.
and that put me in good stead for kind of what I've come to do now.
Yeah, definitely. Because last night it was quite an intimate little setting, wasn't it? In Oh
I
My
love
God,
it.
Sheffield.
It's great. It's a great gig.
Everybody was sitting down, sitting round, and it was very much cabaret style. But
Yeah, yeah,
people were very interactive as well.
mm.
And you're the type of person that does get people interacting with you.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So so how do you make the first how do you decide who to talk to and who not to? What when you're on stage, what makes you think, "Nah, I'm not going to approach them, but I'll have a little go at them and I'll see what I can get away with them."
It's definitely body language. Um,
Yeah,
it's the way people hold themselves, the eye contact. Are they looking at you? Are they
yeah,
have they got their arms folded? Have they got the shoulders turned slightly away from you? It's all those little subtle things that you're kind of looking around. And I don't think I really analyse it as in I sit there and go, oh, he's got his back to me, I'm not going to talk to him. You just kind of have that
yeah,
instinctual kind of, well, they've got an open body language, they're looking at me, they're making eye contact. Because I, quite strangely, if I was to watch a drag show, I don't like any attention on me as a person. I like to sit and
yeah,
watch. So therefore,
yeah,
I always make sure I'm stood at the back of the room and that I'm out of the way and I don't make that much eye contact, which people are usually quite shocked by because they think, well, you're a drag performer, why do you not want the attention? But I go
yeah,
to watch them. So I kind of look at it of well, if I was not wanting to be somebody to not give me attention, I'd be doing this. And if I see somebody in the audience doing what I would be doing, then I'd be like, well,
yeah,
they don't really want that interaction. Um,
yeah.
but then sometimes some people just, you can't help but interact with them, whether they like it or not.
Why do you choose to do what you do as your career?
But it wasn't, you're a cowbag. It wasn't, it wasn't a chosen career. Um,
Mm,
I was nurtured into it, shall we say, as a nice way of
yeah,
putting it. Um, having always been a performer, it was another drag queen called Miss Thunderpussy that basically said, you'd be great in this career path.
yeah,
You'll make good money, you'll enjoy yourself, you'll have a very happy, healthy life, and you'll enjoy more what you're doing. Um,
yeah,
and after running a pub for 3 years, it wasn't what I wanted to. I didn't see myself doing it for the rest of my life.
yeah,
It was long hours, tiring, um, the pressures of running a busy shift and sorting out the fights and just everything that came with it. As somebody that's a deep down performer, that really
yeah,
wasn't me. I just didn't feel right. And when it came to the end of that, drag was kind of an option.
yeah,
Um, and with the male vocalist world being what it is, very saturated, lots of male vocalists around. Um, you could literally, I could probably phone somebody now and get a male vocalist to perform somewhere. Um,
yeah,
the drag side of entertainment really appealed to me because it was fun and it was different, and there was a gap in the market for live singing drag artists,
yeah,
because that's the next step. So I kind of feel like I've stepped on it at a time when there's a lot of room for somebody like me and people that can perform to get
yeah,
on that train. But yeah, so it was kind of like a, a, I wanted to get back into performing, but
yeah,
I needed something that would sustain me as a full-time performer, and
yeah,
that's a very difficult thing to find in the performing arts world. Just fell into it really,
yeah, definitely, definitely.
but I love what I do.
So, huh?
I love what I do, like as in like I couldn't imagine not doing it now.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. Cool. So, how do you think the character of Fanny Burns has changed how people are when they meet you, even the ones that knew you before Fanny was invented?
Um, Well, people that have never met me before think
Mm.
I'm going to be Fanny all the time.
Yeah.
And this is that we spoke about in the car. Like,
Yeah.
there is a difference between me and the performer.
Mm.
And they kind of expect, like, when people see me out at because I was having this conversation with somebody in Levensham on the weekend. They were saying,
Mm.
oh, they met me as Fanny, and then I took my stuff off after the show and came back down and said goodbye to them. And they went, wow, you look totally different. They went, we wouldn't, and they said, you look weird. Like, because they met me as Fanny. And
Yeah.
I said,
Yeah.
well, because people like my mum and my dad, they
Yeah.
see, when they see Fanny, they just see me, they see me through the makeup, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
That's how I see you. Yeah.
You could see me. But
Yeah.
whereas people that have met me as Fanny find it very difficult to see it the other way around, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a really odd kind of scenario. I don't know. I think some people now get confused on what to call me when they meet me. Whether
Mm.
it's if they know me as Lewis, they kind of go, what are we calling you? Like,
Yeah.
if I'm a man, you call me Lewis. If I'm not a man, you call me Fanny.
Yeah.
um, but it's funny to watch people kind of go, oh, what do we call you? Well, I don't think anybody that already knows me treats me any differently from it.
Yeah.
I think
Well,
they treat me the same.
that's cool. Fair
They just
dues. Fair
just say
dues.
the face because I'm never in Leicester anymore.
Well, I have to book in time with Lewis. That is for sure.
Easy to book time with Fanny.
This is a welcome treat.
Yes. 2 nights in a row.
So, how do you know when you've done a good job?
I suppose the reactions of the audience. I mean, you can never kind of. I don't know. Sometimes I go through a show and I'm bumbling through, kind of thinking, I'm hoping this is going down all right. Do you know what I mean? And like,
Yeah.
I mean, like, that was a really big, like, quite an ideal scenario actually, because it was a quiet, sit-down audience. You don't know if they're just sitting in silence because they don't talk, or because they're actually watching and like they're enjoying it. Do you know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah.
you don't. Sometimes you don't know. Um, my my way of kind of seeing if I've done a good job, I suppose, is if I get a rebooking.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, if you, it's all right doing performing arts and being a drag queen or a vocalist, but there's only so much work out there, and
Yeah.
if basically you don't do good jobs in your venues, you don't get rebookings, well, all of a sudden your diary's going to start drying up,
Yeah.
and that's when you've got a problem.
Yeah.
So I suppose getting the rebookings, I suppose, when you've done a gig for the first time and they go, great, yeah, we'll give you another couple of dates.
Yeah.
I suppose that's my main way of saying, well, okay. I mean, I still doubt myself now at times. Do you know what I mean? Even just over a year on, I still
Mm.
question myself, as in, like, is my show any good? Do people enjoy it? Do you know what I mean? You do question yourself, and I do that all the time. Even as confident as
Even
Fanny is, I still question myself.
even though people who you know and the feedback that you get from people that have only met you as Fanny doing your show, even though the feedback that you get is amazing, you still doubt
Yeah,
yourself about that.
yeah,
Okay.
all the time.
So that's interesting. So if you were booking another drag queen, for instance, how would you
Hmm.
know that they've done a good job?
Well, I'd probably look at where they've worked. Are they still working in that venue? Because I do bookings for certain drag queens for the venue I work in Manchester,
Yeah.
and those queens are. I look at their Facebooks. Where do they work? How often have they worked? What do they work at that venue very often? Do you know what I mean? It's the same things that I kind of look at for what I kind of judge myself upon, I suppose. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
And
and obviously the
and then
videos
when
that
they
they're performing,
performed?
the audience's reaction, how the audience kind of takes to it, like, because being a host of the Thompsons, people will come up to me and go, oh yeah, we really enjoyed that drag queen, or oh no, that we didn't like that one this month, blah blah.
Yeah.
Uh, and yeah, it's. I suppose that's how I judge them is what the audience is, because at the end of the day, drag is very well. Performance is very.
Yeah.
You've got to entertain the audience. If the audience isn't entertained, you're not gonna get the work.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the main
Yeah.
focus of any performer, is you've got to entertain people. If they're not entertained, then you're not doing your job.
Yeah. Yeah. That's very,
But
very true.
entertainment is subjective as well. Um,
Yeah.
what you and I might find, we've got very similar humour. So what you and
Yeah.
I find very funny, John and Jill might not. And that's the difficulty
Yeah.
with entertainment is I've had people walk out of shows that I do before because they're offended by it or what have you. Do you know what I mean? You just got to take the rough with the
Yeah.
smooth. You kind of got to go, right, they didn't enjoy it, but okay. But the other 80-90%, they enjoyed it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
What
got to
kind of things?
go
What
on.
kind of things have put you out of your comfort zone? Did Fanny initially put you out of your comfort zone?
Oh, everything,
Yeah.
all of it. I was. The thought of putting a dress on absolutely terrified me because I
Yes,
didn't.
because I've been asking you for years to
Yeah,
be a drag queen.
didn't want. I didn't. It sounds silly, but the thing that actually scared me to start with, and I've now embraced, which is
Mm.
I didn't want to look like a man in a dress. I
Ah,
was
yeah.
scared to look like a man in a dress. Um,
Mm.
and if you look back at my photos of when I very first started, I had dresses that were full length sleeves. Um,
Yeah.
like they covered as much of my chest as possible. They were still short because I've got good legs. I didn't mind getting my legs out. Um, but my arms and my chest, because I was very conscious of my shoulders. I was very conscious of my broadness across my
Yeah.
top. And I didn't want to look that kind of blokey man in a dress. Whereas now, my act pretty much centres around the fact that I go, yeah, well, I'm not really bothered. I'm a bloke in a dress, aren't I?
Yeah.
And I do wear the strappy little shoulder. All my dresses now are just straps, single straps.
Yeah.
My arms are always out. My shoulders are always out. Do you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
kind of it's odd that the very thing that terrified me is now the thing that I embrace and kind of go, yeah, well, what are you going to do about it? Do you know what I mean? It's kind of like people don't look at you and you are a bloke in a dress. People are not going to go, look, she looks like a man. I
Yeah.
hope I do, because that's what I am.
Yeah.
But yeah, I suppose that was and I think the most terrifying thing as well was creating the character,
Yeah.
um, because I don't have a script, and I still don't have a script. I just kind of say what I think,
Mm.
and that's a scary notion because if you've got that old saying of you're only as good as your audience, and that genuinely is the case with my shows. If my audience doesn't give me anything, then I find it very difficult to give something back because
Yeah.
my show is built on my audience. That's it. So it becomes quite difficult sometimes if they're not gonna. And that's still a fear sometimes when you're doing a show and you think this audience is giving me nothing, but you just end up kind of going with
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Ah, see that's quite incredible. So when you um we've just kind of touched on this a bit when you're on stage as Fanny
Mm-hmm.
about striking up conversation with people and picking out the ones because of the body language and that kind of thing.
I kill
So
21.
when you're out and about as Lewis,
Mm-hmm.
you still have the confidence to strike up conversations with complete strangers or come out with witty comments and things like that. So when you do that, is that Lewis Brown doing that or is that Fanny doing that?
I think it's funny. I
Yeah,
think it is. I think it is to a degree. I think. Well, it's difficult because, like I said, Fanny's comes as an over kind of exaggerated version of who I am. So
yeah.
I suppose it's both of us, but like, I suppose I don't know. I don't know. It kind of everything kind of blurs.
That'll get you
There's no
thinking, won't it?
no defining line between. I don't think there's a clear cut line between a performer and the person. You can't just say, right, I'm going to put
Mm,
this wig and this dress on now, and I'm going to be Fanny, and then Fanny just disappears into a closet.
yeah,
Because and that's what. Do you know what I mean? You could say the same about um, Sarah, who works in the office, and like I said, putting her makeup on in the morning. Well,
yeah,
who is that person in the office then? Is that confident Sarah because she's got the makeup on, or is that unconfident Sarah that's pretending she's confident because she's got the face full of makeup on? And I suppose
yeah.
that's probably where the question in your mind is kind of going, because
Do you do it when you're on your own? So if you're just out on your own without
yeah,
anybody else, and I don't know, you go into the bank or whatever to drop off your earnings for the week, do you still come out with those witty, dry, sarcastic comments? No.
no,
So it's more about when
more
you're with other
formal.
people that,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
it is. If I go to the bank or I'm going somewhere on my own. I mean, don't get me wrong. I go to the sunbed shop every week, and I've got to chat to the women in there, and I'll chat to them. And now, but the thing is, again, it's quite interesting. I've got to know a couple of them, and then whenever everybody, I've got to know a few of them, and then when somebody new joins their team, I'm
yeah,
like that with them. But because I know a couple of the others, do you know what I
mm,
mean? So
yeah,
I think to a degree it is. I've got that I've got the confidence, but I
yeah,
only put that out when there's other people around me, because otherwise, when you've got people around you, you've got that. There's other people there. But if for me to say something like that on my own,
mm,
people go, "Who's that weirdo? Why is he saying that to me, nutter?" Do you know what I
yeah,
mean? That's kind of the, and that's kind. But when there's a group of you, they're like, "Oh," and then your mates will back you up and go, "Oh, don't worry, he's a drag queen." And do you know what I mean? It's kind of like they back it up with the reassurance comment as to why I've said it, or do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, yeah,
and that's, I suppose, yeah. If I'm on my own, I don't really talk to people. And there's some days where I go without talking to anybody. And I've said to you that
yeah,
drag is a very lonely profession, because I spend a couple of hours in a car driving to a gig, put my face on, get on stage, and I'm Fanny, and then I take it all off and drive home again.
yeah,
Um, and it is quite a lonely old day sometimes. But
yeah.
I enjoy what I do.
So, so tomorrow's challenge for
Mm-hmm.
everybody that's in my group is actually to get completely out of the comfort zone and speak to a complete stranger. Because
Fabulous.
for some people that will be less easy than, and we've built up to that. We've done smiling at people,
Yep.
saying hello, getting eye contact, changing your body position, all those kinds of things. So we've built up to this point now where tomorrow I'm saying your challenge is to go and speak to somebody, a complete stranger, just start a conversation.
Yeah.
So even for you, you can take that on board
Them
as
as I am,
the
as me. Yeah.
as Lewis on his own without anybody else around him, going
Yeah.
out and talking to someone, and just being conscious that it's you, Lewis,
Mm,
that's doing
yeah. And it's not the
it.
innuendo kind of drag persona.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. You'll have to let me know how you get on with that.
Oh yeah.
So I shall see you at some point later this week, Lewis.
Yeah. Yes.
Mm,
Indeed. It's been a
yeah,
pleasure. It's been a
it's
pleasure.
been an absolute pleasure, and thank you so much for doing this.